Canada's new War Museum really is a magnificent facility. And for a growing number of people who feel that government just can't do anything right in this country, it's encouraging that when the politicians and the administrators decided they needed to do more to recognize the sacrifice and contribution of those who've worn the uniform of Canada, they didn't just get a good idea, they managed to make it work with this new museum. The old one, a house on Sussex Drive, really was a bit sad. It wasn't just too small to contain things like this grizzly tank. It's the Canadian version of the Sherman that was the mainstay of our armored forces until the last part of the Second World War. If you put things like that in there, they would have gone right through the floor. It wasn't structurally sound. Most of this stuff was kept in an old streetcar barn, and most people didn't know about it, which was a great pity, of course, because it's a terrific collection of material. I had the opportunity to tour the old barn with a veteran of the Second World War, now deceased, Major Reginald Dixon of the Stormont Dundas Glengarry Highlanders, and I remember at one point he said, "Oh, that's a truck like the kind we used to use." He looked at it and said, "Hey, that's my old radio set, a number 19. Unfortunately, there aren't so many Second World War veterans around to guide people through the exhibit, but the staff here are thoroughly knowledgeable. They can show you the stuff, they can tell you what it was and what it did, and it really brings it to life. It is an extraordinary setting for an extraordinary collection that commemorates an extraordinary story. And everybody involved in the creation of the Canadian War Museum really ought to be congratulated for the terrific job they did, not just in getting the idea, but in executing it in this extraordinarily dramatic way. It is a must-see if you come to Ottawa. The War Museum's exhibits also give you a vivid sense of the rapid evolution of military technology, and I might add, a keen sense of the perils of being caught with outdated equipment in combat. For instance, as late as the 1930s, armored warfare meant this Italian armored vehicle. The dreaded German blitzkrieg that swept away all opposition in the Low Countries and France in 1939-40, the backbone of the armor was this Panzer II, terrifying at the time, but by modern standards, a small and apparently quite weakly armored vehicle. It's extraordinary that in such a short period of time, those almost comic vehicles would have evolved into monsters like this dreaded German Panther tank from World War II. And finally, to behemoths like this, the Leopard C2, in use by Canadian forces today.